to hold my teacup in my right hand. We should be sitting on opposite sides.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. All right, hello, and welcome to our Tiny Desk Gift Guide series, where we will be having a short chat with ideas and tips to help you choose gifts the artists and creatives on your list will love. So let's get started.
Today we're talking about watercolor paper,
which we did touch on briefly in our sketchbook video, but we're going to get in a little deeper today.
Yeah. First up, in questions you want to consider, maybe ask the artists, maybe not, but things that we will be asking you when you come into the store and say, I'd like to buy some watercolor paper for the artist in my life, is one of the first ones is, do you want cold pressed or hot pressed papers?
And that might be a new term for you, but cold press would be a bumpy texture with like dips and grooves, and a hot press is very, very smooth. So cold press, you have to work a little bit more quickly and it soaks in a little bit more.
It's more forgiving than hot press.
Mm-hmm. It's more forgiving, and it's traditionally what people reach for a watercolor paper. Yeah. Hot press is a really great option though, which we're seeing a lot more being used. If you have an illustrative style, if you want to use a little bit of pen and ink, it's really great for fine detail. It also handles gouache. Both handle gouache very well, but that would give you that nice smooth finish. So the next thing you want to consider is the format in which the paper comes. So there's a few. There are pads, and pads are gummed.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, that's a block, I think. Is it?
Oh, it is block.
It's block.
This is a pad. Here's a pad.
Is that a pad?
Yeah. No, it's a block.
It's a block.
I just lie constantly. That's a pad.
This is a pad. A pad means that there's one gummed edge, and they can pull the pieces out as they go, and they're going to be taping that onto another board. And then a block has two or more edges gummed. So the fluid lines, they do two gummed edges. So there's a gummed edge here and here. Yeah. And then these edges are loose, so you can lift your knife in to cut the page off.
And you work directly from the pad on these. Mm-hmm. There's another option in Rembrandt.
And in Arches. And those are full, except that there's like a little notch usually where you can get your blade in. Yeah. And why would you want a gummed or a block with the edges gummed on all sides?
So that it holds the page down. It's be similar to, like, if you're doing something portable, similar to taping it down. It's not going to lift or wrinkle as you're painting.
Mm-hmm. So pads, blocks, and then we have sketchbooks, which we've already talked about
in another one of our fireside chats.
And then there's loose sheets, which come in small packages like this, lovely packages like this, or in boxes of postcards, all the way up to large format big sheets, which a typical size is around 22 by 30 inches. So those are the formats that you can get.
And these are two options of postcards.
Wee little babies.
Little metal tin and a tin. And
there's three options for postcards.
These are SMLT, and these other ones are Etchr that we have in stock. But a large sheet of watercolor paper, if your artist is usually working in a pad or a block, is a really nice option. They can, tear it down to some size they want, or just have the option to work really large on a really large piece.
We carry watercolor paper in 100% cotton or in a cellulose blend. So a cellulose blend would mean that it's a mixture of paper and wood pulp, and sometimes there's a little bit of cotton in it, which makes it less expensive and great for getting started and for a beginner. It's less forgiving. You can't lift if you put some watercolor down on 100% cotton paper and you need to fix something, you can lift it off really quickly. On a student grade, on a blended paper, it usually doesn't, you don't have that same flexibility.
So again, another nice option for your artist is to get some nice 100% cotton paper, because it could be something they don't buy themselves.
Yeah, no artist I know would be sad to receive 100% cotton watercolor paper in whatever size or format you can give it, because it's really, really a lovely thing to work on. And it's watercolor paper is often thicker and stiffer, so you can find you might see out there 90 pound. That's very, very light, but traditionally you want something that's about 140 pound and up. And that refers to how thick the paper is, and you want it to be that thick so that it can stand up to the water and the washes that you put on it. And then I wanted to just quickly, I know we're just going off script a little bit.
Yeah, go off script.
But the if you are getting something like a pad, or you're getting a sheet of paper, a nice little add-in, or a little stocking stuffer for a watercolorist is good quality tape for taping down your paper, because paper will kind of swell and then go flatten out again. And
it's a little like stretching your canvas, but with
and this
paper.
Is a soft adhesive tape from Holbein that is really, really good. And it just, you might say, like, Heather, it just looks like masking tape, and it does, but it works really, really well for taping your paper down for watercolor. And it's a nice, it's nice to have nice tools.
Going off script. There is no script.
There is no script.
So other options to look at, just as maybe something different for your artist, is a toned paper. We have some nice SMLT books with brown watercolor paper. We have black watercolor sheets in stock, like large sheets.
By Stonehenge and Somerset. And you might be thinking, well, what am I doing on a brown or a black sheet of watercolor paper? Metallics, pearlescent colors, really work out well. If you work in gouache, it's nice to work on a toned surface. And even in traditional watercolors, we have one of our teachers, Catherine Naylor, really likes these colored St. Armand papers with traditional watercolor. So
these are handmade papers. They come in packs of different toned watercolor and drawing paper, but
we would call this like watercolor adjacent. It's it's a little bit, these are handmade papers. They handle a little bit differently than a traditional watercolor paper, but they're really lovely.
They are 100% cotton. You're gonna grab that?
These are also really nice. They've come in recently. There we go. SMLT.
Looks like this in the package.
We thought they were gummed. They're not. They're single sheets. So they're single round 100% cotton sheets of watercolor paper. The lighting on this is just showing you a white circle, but this is like in between a smooth, like a hot press and a cold press, in my opinion. The tooth, like it's a smoother cold press, but a really cool format and endlessly fun to play with.
Something different if they're not used to, you've been sketching in pads, your traditional pads, just get some thinking a little different. Same with one of these packs from St. Armand, a nice long landscape panorama view of things, or they could do little marks this way as well.
You might not see, but they just come packaged in these like, there we go. Twined together, single sheets, handmade in a deco box. Lovely paper, and this is a lovely thing to receive, and it's fun paper to work on too, and it does have quite a bit of texture to it, so that is something to consider, and I love this paper. Actually, this piece right here.
They do round too. Another option of something to delight your watercolorists is this pack that was put together by Bean Paints and Japanese Paper Place. You can't see the whole thing. I was going to do it as a little surprise.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so it's I'll do it anyway. It's a package of paper, but it also comes with Bean Paints and a little paintbrush.
I'm so surprised.
Okay. But what this does from a paper perspective is introduce your watercolorist to different washi paper that takes watercolor, and it behaves very differently. These are little squares and rectangles to try out. They may find something that that really delights them, and they can get larger sheets from us or the JPP. That's the Japanese paper place, by the way, here in Toronto. And a lovely, lovely package with the bean paints, which we'll talk about in another. Do we talk about them?
I
One
think
of these?
so.
I think so.
We'll figure out a way.
But just check our Instagram.
I love this as a just to expand. Like, I love this package as a way to expand your thinking about what watercolor paper can be.
Yeah.
So if you're buying for somebody who has found their paper of choice and they like to stick with it, much respect for that approach. But this is something to play with and to just think a little bit differently about the surface that you're working on.
Do you want to highlight these one last time?
One last time. These are just really sweet, cheap and cheerful, nicely made watercolor postcards. They come in a couple formats. These ones in the brown packages are called Haiku cards. I like these cards because they have a rounded corner edge, which is really nice. And these aren't they're called postcards, but these cards don't have any markings on them, so they're just perfectly
Whereas these
sized.
ones do. These have rounded corners too.
They do.
But they have the
lines
for your postcard.
Yes,
on the back. What we don't have here in front of us now are the watercolor gift cards and envelopes from Etchr.
Yeah.
We also have those. So that can be something fun that they can do an individual painting and turn it folds into a greeting card, and there's matching envelopes.
But this is just something that could be paired with a tiny little watercolor set and a little brush and maybe a pen, and you're good to go. That's everything you need. So I like the compact size of nice materials in a small package. I think that's it.
I think that's it. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Wait, we didn't talk about our extra.
Oh, okay, hang on.
That's it for what we're going to show you in supplies, but we've been enjoying adding on a little extra of something to consider as a gift for a watercolorist. So, or somebody who's starting out in watercolor. You can also attach to one of your lovely presents the link to, we have a blog post that contains all you need to know about getting started in watercolor. I made this painting here, and that was used as part of that blog.
That was good.
That's good. We're getting better with the mirror image. You can also take a look on our website under our upcoming classes. And Catherine Naylor is our watercolor teacher. She's wonderful. Anybody who's taken a class with her has loved it. And we work with other people as well with a watercolor background, but consider a class just either as a beginner program or to focus in on one specific aspect of painting.
Okay.
I think now
we're done.
Now we're done.
So I'm going to thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll be popping in a few times a week from November 15th to December 10th for a completely unscripted look at art materials. And to find the links to the whole series, go to the gift guide series, Tiny Desk gift guide series, go to our Instagram or blog.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.